Well, I messed up and forgot to change my settings, so 1 second, everybody. I will change my settings now. I hate when this happens. Sometimes it forgets the camera. There we go. And new microphone. Okay, we're all set. Hi, guys. Welcome to the Prop Queen Pod. I am the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. I unplugged everything from my computer so that I could do some work while little Marley was snuggling me. And then I forgot to plug it back in. So now we are all good to go. Happy Tuesday. It is officially July. I can't believe it's July already. We are in the month of football season. We're going to get football on July 31st, which will be awesome. But we still have a lot of Major League Baseball to get to today. Going to talk Wimbledon. Wimbledon action started yesterday. I know, Sean, don't be disappointed. I know that Pam, you want her. She's coming tomorrow. Today, we're going to be joined by Tennis Channel's Gill. He's a Syracuse alum, so I'm very excited to represent. I need to, did Freed go under? I just turned it off. I meant to turn on the game. I have a TV right in front of me. I'm going to turn it on. I still don't know why the light is shining this way. This is, again, a problem that I'm going to need to solve. It has everything to do with me, I guess. I need to turn on the Yankees game as well, so I will turn it on. I know Freed had 1K through 5, but you can never – is he done? I know that at last I saw Freed gave up the home run, so I'm going to take a look right now at the live box score. Anyway, so Gill Gross is going to be joining the show at 5:10. We're going to talk Wimbledon. We're also going to get Tom Vecchio on the show. He's got finally back to his Major League Baseball hitter parlays, so I'm super pumped to get the updated version of that. Max Fried, 1 strikeout through 4 2/3 at 83 pitches. He hasn't been pulled yet, but we're looking okay so far. I really need to turn the game on. I forgot, but I have to walk to turn on my TV manually in my studio. For some reason, the remote doesn't turn the TV on. It will turn it off, though. So I'm not really sure as to why that's the case, but it turns it on, just not off. I mean, it turns it off, but not on. Oh, anyway, that's good. So if you are a premium subscriber to the PropQueen.com newsletter, then you would have seen that we had Max Fried under 5.5Ks. If you also subscribe to Picket and you download the Picket app, if you sync your sportsbook, if you use promo code PropQueen, then you would see on Picket this morning that we got Max Fried under 5.5 minus 142, which was actually a pretty good deal. I've got more strikeout props coming up today. I've also got some hitter props that you can look at. I'm going to turn on the Yankees game right now. You can still hear me. You just can't see me. This is my problem. I do too much, and you guys just have to bear with me. So that was fun, getting Max Fried to go under, I guess, so far. I need to start doing these things way more in advance of the show. Okay, Major League Baseball Yankee game is on. The Yankees are currently trailing 4-2 against the Toronto Blue Jays. It is Canada Day. So for everyone that's wondering why the hell the Yankees and Blue Jays were playing at 3:30 this afternoon, it's because it's Canada Day, just like Patriots Day in Boston. So they always play these afternoon games. I will say the Toronto uniforms are pretty cool. They're like ripping red. It's the only time all year that they wear it. It is also Bobby Bonilla Day. This is why it's so effed up. Bobby Bonilla gets paid his $1 million on July 1st, and Ariel Epstein has to pay rent. July 1st is also my best friend's birthday, so we go to dinner on her birthday every year that I treat her to. So I will also be paying for my best friend's birthday dinner tonight, which means that Ariel is now very poor. No, but we hit Max Fried today. We hit Max Fried. So hitting Max Fried under is very, very helpful. A lot happened in the NBA today. A lot of breaking trades in the last free agent signings and trades. They're all going nuts today. Why isn't the BFF on the pod? She must be busy today. I don't know why Pam couldn't come on today. I don't want to ask for details. Pam just said she'll be on tomorrow. So you're just going to have to deal with it, Shawn Michael. We saw some crazy upsets already in Wimbledon, by the way. For all of you who don't watch Wimbledon, you're not a degenerate, because I'm up at 5 a.m. Well, really 6 a.m. watching Wimbledon. I have a lot of fun because Marley has me up, so I end up just like being up anyway, and it gets me out of bed. And after our walk, instead of taking a nap, I'm watching Wimbledon. We already saw Medvedev go down, saw Coco Gauff go down today in straight sets. She was a minus 495 favorite, Coco Gauff, and ends up losing in straight sets, which actually doesn't really surprise me. Now, I don't know too much about handicapping tennis, which is why Gill Gross is going to come on. And mind you, Gill Gross can't give out picks because he is a tennis channel like employee, but he will give us helpful information to help you guys come up with better picks for your own info and knowledge. There's going to be some sleepers we'll talk about who are left alive in the Wimbledon right now. And we've also will talk about some of these heavy favorites. I know that Novak Djokovic played today. He was around like 12:45 Eastern time. Oh, he's still playing. He's up 2-1. So we'll see. But Djokovic on the court right now. We'll have some action for tomorrow. We'll talk about just really about who's really the best of the best. And I was on with Stormy Bonatoni on VSiN today, and we spoke to somebody about tennis and Wimbledon and how there's value out there on the board. Talked about how Djokovic is probably the best bet to win his quarter as opposed to winning it all. Pam, we're going to talk about this tomorrow with Pam because she's a little bit of a homer sometimes. Gonna have to give her a little bit piece of my mind. Yeah, so in the MLB, 3 games already canceled today. A lot of weather, so we can talk about that because I'll talk some NBA after we have Gill Gross on. We'll talk Major League Baseball at the end. But there were a lot of bad weather games, and 2 games already called. Padres at Phillies, Tigers at Nationals. Both games are set for a doubleheader tomorrow, a day-night doubleheader. The Athletics and Rays are going to get some rain. I'll give an update on the weather. So today, the Athletics and Rays, scattered pop-up showers or storms, but should mostly be able to play and keep dry. Then you've got the Brewers and the Mets, storms around first pitch. Then they'll stick around for like an hour, maybe postponed. So we'll see. Right now, it is not raining in New York. So I hope it stays that way while I have to walk Marley after the show. Reds at Red Sox, storms are going to pop in during the game, and if they pop up over the ballpark, it could be a problem. Can't pinpoint it yet, but for now, I think we start dry, then dodge thunderstorm development. This is all on rotogrinders.com, where our guy, Kevin Roth, who came on the show, he gave us a preseason preview of Major League Baseball stadiums and weather, but we've got some more on Roto Grinders. And then the Angels and the Braves game is the other one. A lot of storms moving around 10 p.m. Prior to that, there's some scattered storms. Hopefully can avoid it around the ballpark and maybe not have to be delayed, or something. Like the end of the game is where we should see more rain. So just keep that in mind. Oh, the Mets were officially canceled? Okay. They weren't canceled at like when I last checked. Let me check. Sometimes, Shawn Michael, you make things up. I'm just kidding. But sometimes you do. Thanks for everyone on X for giving me crap for forgetting to turn my camera on today. I really appreciate all of you. Gill Gross is about to join the show from Tennis Channel. Yes, so the Mets game 10 minutes ago. See, Shawn Michael, it was 10 minutes ago, right when I signed on air and forgot to turn on my camera and connect it to my computer. The Mets game was postponed. They will split a doubleheader tomorrow. So we've got 3 doubleheaders in Major League Baseball already tomorrow. Shoot me. That means that's 3 less games that we could talk about because I'm not handicapping a doubleheader. I'm sorry, Sean. But you did give false information recently, so your credibility has been like hit a little bit. I'm just saying. But we love you anyway because you're here every day. I forget what you messed up. You gave out a wrong stat. Anyway, it doesn't matter because the guy coming on now is going to give us all the information we need to know about Wimbledon. And again, I'm sorry, Sean, it's not Pam Maldonado. She will be on tomorrow. But Gill's just as good looking as Pam, right? Come on. Go.
Oh, man. You didn't tell me you're putting me in a bad spot coming in for Pam Maldonado. You know, that changes things a lot.
It's just that Shawn Michael really wants to talk tennis. And I think he really enjoys talking to Pam. So,
I do too.
I'm glad. I love how all the world has brought us full circle because I met Pam through the gambling space. She loves tennis and golf. Then I saw you two working together, and Gill went to Syracuse, but I think we missed each other by a few years.
I believe so. Yeah.
How did you get involved with Tennis Channel, like right out of school?
I kind of had this niche in tennis throughout my whole like Syracuse Newhouse run because I was doing my podcast Monday Match Analysis, which started midway through freshman year. So there was that going, and then ACC Network Extra, when we started broadcasting Syracuse women's tennis, nobody knows. I don't want to say nobody. A lot of people don't know anything about the game, and they can't broadcast it. So it put me in a position where I was able to do it a ton because I kind of became their go-to in that more niche environment. So I left Syracuse with like a 6-7 minute reel that was all tennis, and got me. I didn't plan. There's so few jobs in tennis. It was never I was never assuming that was going to be where I ended up, but it was definitely my plan A. And thankfully it's all worked out so far.
Everyone needs a niche, and I couldn't find mine until 2019, 3 years after I graduated college, when I landed in sports betting. So we get to merge our worlds, kind of. I told the audience, I said he can't bet, he can't talk about betting, so we won't put Gill in a bad spot, but we will get information that we need to help us know what the hell to talk about with Wimbledon. First off, with Wimbledon, we've already seen 2 major upsets. We've seen Medvedev go down. We've seen Coco Gauff go down. How surprised were you by both of those?
I think there's been a lot of maybe
Pegula too. Thank you in the chat, by the way.
Yeah, Pegula too. A lot of Pegula, probably the most shocking one of them all. But a lot of 7 out of 10, 8 out of 10 surprise scale upsets at this point. For Coco, obviously a contender to win the title. But coming off of a Roland Garros title just 3 weeks ago, going onto a surface that is a little tougher on her, losing pretty early in the lead up, so not having a lot of grass court reps, and then facing someone in Diana Yastremska, who's a player who at least has the weaponry to be scary on her day and to take out Coco. Coco had a horrible serving day. Yastremska is one of the scariest aggressive returners in all of tennis, and that was a lethal combination for Coco. Medvedev's been semifinals back-to-back years at Wimbledon, but Ariel, in the larger picture, it's been decline for Daniil, and he lost early at the Australian Open to Lerner Tien. He lost early at Roland Garros to Cam Norrie in a pretty ugly one. So I think things have gotten to a point with Medvedev where you can't be too shocked when he loses early, at least right now.
Currently for men's, we're seeing Novak Djokovic playing. He's up 2-1. Muller took the second set. Djokovic took the first and the third. How concerned are you for Novak Djokovic in this tournament?
Not concerned. I think if he just copies and pastes the serving level and the ball striking level that he did at Roland Garros, there's only 2 guys in the world who can play with him. So for Novak, there's been a ton of inconsistencies and, by his standards, shocking losses outside of the majors because his motivation has completely dried up. So he can legitimately lose to anyone outside of a slam, and it's not surprising. But if you look at the last 2 years, the one thing that's held up in his game, he's still going deep at every single major other than the US Open last year. He took an early loss to Popyrin. So I actually think motivated, best of 5, it kind of awakens him. The problem with Novak is that he's ran into a brutal matchup problem with Jannik Sinner. He's lost 5 out of the last 6 against Sinner, has broken his serve once in the last 9 sets. So I'm actually pretty confident that Novak's going deep. I'm just not so confident that he's beating Sinner.
So like Q3 is where he is like probably wins Q3, then that's it.
Yeah, he's my semifinalist. I think he's got a pretty favorable draw as well. I got to refresh myself actually on who he's got here. Oh, he's in Jack Draper's quarter. Yeah. So Bublik lost in that quarter. Draper has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I think everybody is hoping to see Djokovic and Jack in the quarters because that would just be the blockbuster quarterfinal of the men's tournament. But again, there's a lot. Like, Draper is suddenly in the Andy Murray position of having the entire United Kingdom like on his shoulders. And I don't think it's going to be easy for him, at least the first couple go rounds.
It's funny because you get Novak Djokovic, who he's a crowd favorite. Everyone loves to see him do well, especially as we're getting closer and closer to the end of the big three now that Federer and Nadal are done. Then you have the other side of the homegrown hero. And that's the beauty of tennis, though. When you go to these Wimbledons or French Opens and you have the locals versus the stars and everyone's just cheering for everyone. It's the only sport that exists where everyone's seemingly cheering for everyone.
Totally. It's a very special thing, which is why when you have the kind of home away atmosphere, it's so special and it means something different. The one exception, I always tell this story. I was at the US Open semifinals in 2014 and Marin Cilic, well, no, let me start here. Kei Nishikori played Novak Djokovic. And this was in Novak's capital P prime. He was not losing much. Nishikori beats Djokovic. The next semifinal is Federer versus Cilic. Roger's in kind of a major title drought, and Novak just lost. He's supposed to beat Cilic. And every Fed fan in that building was just psyched. Like, this is the year. This is the moment. And Cilic beats Roger in straights. It's the only time I've left a tennis event. And I feel like I'm losing. I felt like I was leaving like a Rangers playoff game and the Rangers just lost game 5. I've never felt that vibe, but that was one exception.
No, I could see it, especially with those big three. They always just had such a following no matter where they went in this kind of sport. But going back to Wimbledon, we do have Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic. You think we're getting Alcaraz and Sinner again?
Chances are. You don't want to look at the end of the day. There's questions with Jannik, which is he going to emotionally recover from what was a scarring and traumatizing loss in that final?
I would probably retire.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I could never be seen on a court again. Like, I would be dead in the water, chop my legs off. I'm out of here.
So with you. And it's the kind of loss that, like, it should take a couple of months. But Jannik is he's been so unflappable throughout his career. Is there an apples to apples with what happened there? No. But he, like, mentally, it's just been dynamite. So I actually think he's going to be able to turn the page. And Carlos Alcaraz, on paper, it's hard to come in as like more of a solid title favorite. Not that, I mean, we can talk about if Alcaraz and Sinner play. I still think it's a really, really competitive match. And I think even though Alcaraz is comfortably the favorite, given 19-match win streak, back-to-back Wimbledon champion, 5 in a row head-to-head against Sinner, given all those things, it's very clear who the favorite is. At the same time, all of their matches have been so close that you gotta just factor in there's variance here. And the fact that Carlos has won 5 in a row against Jannik, that, I mean, it's all clutchness, it's all big points. On some level, you can make an argument it's repeatable, but in reality, and like anybody who likes betting and looks at sports more from a number standpoint knows this, it can't go that way every time when it's just that close.
Why is there such a drop-off in the odds between Alcaraz at plus 120, Sinner plus 165, then Djokovic just completely drops off at plus 650?
It's just Sinner and Alcaraz have just ascended above the level of the field pretty clearly. They've won each of the last 6 majors between them. Sinner's 2024 season, I mean, you have the dark cloud around it, which is an anti-doping controversy. And then this year you have a 3-month suspension. He won over 90% of his matches last year, which is like rarefied air. So he had basically an all-time dominant season. Alcaraz already has 5 majors and he's 22. And he's won 2 Wimbledons.
I'm such a loser compared to Alcaraz.
So yeah, here's the other thing. There's just not a lot of luck in this particular sport. The best players beat inferior competition more often than not. There's not a lot of lucky bounces. There's no, like, officiating doesn't have an opportunity to get involved. And you just find, like, between hundreds and hundreds of points that they're going to play mano a mano. it's a more difficult sport to produce upsets when players reach the level of Alcaraz and Sinner. And we saw it with the big three and even Andy Murray, who almost never lost early at these majors, especially in best of five. Like, it's really hard for these guys to get upset.
I know clay matters. How much does grass matter when talking about who could win this?
I think even more than clay. I think it's the novelty surface. It's the surface that they only play on 5 weeks out of the year, most less because you're not playing a full 2 weeks at Wimbledon. But it's a surface that's more difficult to move on, so it's hard to defend as well. Alexander Zverev lost today. Zverev has made 4 major quarterfinals minimum at the other 3 majors, and he hasn't made a single one at Wimbledon because, in short, the game is a little bit too reliant on the defense, and the defense is diminished on this surface, so he kind of loses what he's good at. It's also a lower bouncing surface. The servers are rewarded. Slice is rewarded, so you'll see a lot of players with weaker backhands, but if they have a good slice, they can kind of hide that weakness. So I would say it's like the quirkiest surface. It's probably, when I'm making my predictions, and they're not on betting lines, they're just flat out predictions, I'm probably thinking about the conditions at Wimbledon more than I'm thinking about the conditions at any other event.
I know that we talked about the 3, Alcaraz, Sinner, Djokovic. Who's a sleeper on the men's side that people should keep an eye on?
So I guess my bold picks here are Jakub Menšík, who's a massive, so he's a 19-year-old Czech player who serves enormous, has a rock solid backhand, comes forward well. He's the champion at the Miami Open earlier this year, so he's already had a big splashy result. And I think everybody's in agreement that he's going to be a guy. The concern with him is that he struggled at majors so far in his career. Physically, still has some developing to do. But I think grass is a little bit less physical, and the serve that he possesses just helps him out even more. So I have him playing Djokovic in that quarterfinal. I have him beating Jack Draper, and that's probably the biggest out on a limb thing that I've gone for. The other one would be Gabriel Diallo, who I believe plays Fritz next. And I'm high on Taylor Fritz, and I have Fritz making the semis, so I don't necessarily pick Diallo to win this match, but I think it's a really, really tough one. Diallo's another big server. He's also a great net rusher, won his first career title on the grass just a few weeks ago in the Netherlands. So those are the 2 guys on the men's side. And then for the women's side, it's not as much of an off-the-board sleeper, but I like Madison Keys. Your
I was going to ask about her because she plays tomorrow at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I mean, so she had a tough one against Russo, who's given her some trouble in the past in the first round. I kind of like a player to go through a battle, come out on the other end unscathed, especially when it's best of 3 and you're not looking at like any physical issues, most likely. I've been impressed with how Keys has sort of mentally processed the Australian Open title, and she's playing with less pressure, but she's also kind of bringing some of the things that helped her win that Australian Open, playing into bigger targets, absorbing pace better, being a little bit more stable with her new racket. And she's always been really consistent at Wimbledon. It's always kind of fallen apart towards the end because she's never been a player who's handled pressure well. But with that issue aside, I'm really high on Keys.
She's 4th in the odds. It's Aryna Sabalenka, Elena Rybakina. Okay. And Iga Swiatek. Iga Swiatek also won today, right? And she's always been a perennial contender. Out of those 4, do you agree that Sabalenka is the heavy, like she should be the front runner for this?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think everybody knows that when Sabalenka is not missing and she's just like on point, nobody's going to beat her. And it's like a foregone conclusion. So especially now that she's added more than power and she hits her spots on her serve, her second serve, which was a weakness, it's now a strength. And she's got the biggest baseline power off the ground compared to anyone. And she can move a little bit. So when she's on song, it's just nightmarish for everybody. But there's always the possibility that she's going to have an off match, especially late in the tournament. We saw at Roland Garros that mentally and emotionally, she still has some issues when she has to deal with like adversity at times, and she can still kind of go on a downward spiral and give you misses. So I'll tell you, I'm more concerned about Sabalenka recovering mentally from what happened in Paris than Jannik Sinner.
Ooh, that was drama central. The tennis channel must have been going off on that, because to go at Coco Gauff and all the drama that came with it, and then to see Coco Gauff get bounced so early in Wimbledon, which I always say these things when it comes to like football, and I just did it in baseball the other day when the Mets were coming off the series with the Braves. I said, this is a great fade spot in Pittsburgh for the Mets, and they end up losing that first game after the Braves. Same felt like Coco. It's just so close to the French Open. You just had such a huge French Open where you win it. You go to Wimbledon so close to it. It's like, all right, let's just go and prepare for the US Open.
Exactly. There are so many pitfalls there that you can fall into. I mean, whether it be you're taking a victory lap for a week and a half, and now you're kind of slow out of the gates when you're trying to start up again. Or, a newfound expectation that you're feeling after winning a slam. There's a lot of stuff in there. It was surprising to see her serve collapse as dramatically as it did. It's also something that you're going to get with Coco from time to time. And that's kind of why I guess some people will get caught writing her off, even though she's proven time and time again, you shouldn't write her off. It's because she's going to show you glimpses of ugly performances just here and there. She's going to toss them in. But if you overreact and you're like, well, Coco's in trouble, she's going to burn you a few weeks later and win something big.
We know that ever since Coco came up, she's just been a human backboard. And before you get in trouble for everything the chat's saying, I'm going to let you go. Gil Gross, let everybody tell everybody where they can find your work.
Monday Match Analysis on audio platforms. Gil Gross, just my name with 2 L's, on YouTube, Instagram at Gil Gross _. Thanks for having me on, Ariel. And if it makes you feel any better, you started the show with a camera setting issue. I started the show by turning on my camera and seeing that it had no battery, and that's why I've been on my laptop.
Oh, well, it looks great. I wouldn't have known any different, as opposed to my audience who's giving me crap on X already that I started the show with no camera on. So that's great. This is what happens when you get a 4.5-month-old puppy, and now you know what it's like to be a single mother. Gil Gross, thank you so much. And the chat, you guys should check him out on all of his platforms if you need any help for tennis. And don't talk crap to him. He's a professional. We're just not professional here on this podcast. Gil, have a good day and enjoy Wimbledon.
Thanks, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
Coming up next, we don't need to be professional with this guy. You guys give him all the crap in the world. You always do. He will give it right back, though, so you better be able to take it. Shawn Michael, you guys know him. You know that you've been waiting for the parlays to come back. The hit parlays are back, and they're better than ever, alive and well. I saw him cash them this week. Let's give it up for the one and the only Tom Vecchio. Nope, didn't. Nope. What's up? I was making sure I didn't take Gill because he's still here and watching the show, so I wanted to make sure that Gill didn't come in for you. Whatever. I'm a bad producer. Shawn Michael is super. No, he thought it was Mark with a C. No, it's Tom. We love Tom, he said. There you go.
So I'm here. As you mentioned, hit parlays are doing well, have won 3 in a row. I talked last week when I was here, like I said, they weren't going well. And I also said I wasn't worried. And it just comes with the natural, like May and June, the beginning of June, I should say, were super hot. And then, as I said last week, they weren't going well. And, you're losing, whatever it is, 7 out of your last 10. Meanwhile, you just won 7 out of your last 10. It obviously doesn't feel great, but things have turned around, have won 3 in a row, and I'm ready to get rolling for today.
Before we get rolling with today, as I was talking Wimbledon, as requested by Shawn Michael, he decided to talk about the Cy Young in the chat while we were talking Wimbledon. So I'm gonna give you this question, which Shawn kind of said. Max Fried today, he feels like his Cy Young odds were officially destroyed.
I I mean, obviously looking at it in a bubble, it doesn't look good, especially coming off the heels of what Skubal did on Sunday Night Baseball, right? 13 strikeouts, 7 innings. But there's not to say that like Max Fried isn't going to rattle off his next 5 starts, which will look like the previous 5 starts that he had, which were, all great. So, one start doesn't look good, especially when the favorite was just absolutely unbelievable. But I don't want to say like Skubal could go out and get blown up and give up, 10 runs or whatever in this next start, because it could happen, but I wouldn't say he's dead. I would say the tiers are looking pretty straightforward, or that grouping. We also remember like the Cy Young's a little bit of a narrative-driven award, so I think that DeGrom will garner votes just because like, oh, he's pitching great. He's obviously nowhere near the level that Skubal is, but him returning in like somewhat of a nostalgia thing, people will vote for him. So it's going to come down to Skubal, Hunter Brown, Garrett Crochet, Max Fried, and Jacob DeGrom, those 5.
It's a long season, but what we know is that we've seen now 14 of the 21 lefties to face Toronto go under their K prop. 9 of the last 10 went under 5.5 Ks. Nets now 10 of the last 11. So real pumped about that trend cashing again with the unders for lefties against the Jays.
So when was the last time Garrett Crochet faced the Jays? Or has he faced them this year? I actually don't know. Because that would be an interesting, like, is that going to change the trend? Obviously, Crochet is unbelievable. And because they last week.
Mackenzie Gore had 5. We're going down the whole list. I've got every pitcher, every lefty who has faced the Jays this year.
Okay.
Mackenzie Gore had 5. David Peterson, 3. Garrett Crochet on April 8th in Boston had 5 strikeouts against the Jays.
Okay.
So that was in Boston. And now let me see if there was.
He didn't face them last week, right? When the Jays were there? I don't think so.
Let's see. Boston. Nope. It was Bayo, Giolito, and Buehler.
Right. Okay.
So he didn't get a second shot at them, but
at some point he will.
Max Fried had 3 and 2 now against the Jays.
Yeah. I mean, again, a good contact team, patient at the plate, like that will come into it. But I'd be interested to see what Crochet's strikeout prop would be if he faces them in July, August, later, whatever it might be.
My guess is it would be 6.5 still. And we
6.5.
Heavy juice on the under. That it would probably be unbettable. That would be my guess. Because Fried was 5.5 today.
Right.
Minus 140 to the under.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's talk about what we can still make money off of, and that's Tom Vecchio's plays for today. Edward Cabrera under 5.5 Ks. Why?
So I think he's a good pitcher. He's got a good strikeout rate overall, but he also has a 10.5% walk rate. And that just drives up the pitch counts. And the league average walk rate this season is 8.5. So he's at 10.5%. Like, here's like 2.5%. It's not like something dramatically worse. He's not up at 15%, but he is worse compared to the league average. And that does just drive up the pitch count overall. So, seeing high strikeouts, you need to be efficient when it's all said and done. Obviously, what Sonny Gray did last week was unbelievable. In fact, he had 89 pitches and 11 strikeouts. But Cabrera isn't the most efficient pitcher. He also doesn't go super deep into the games. He's not generally getting into the 6th inning. So when it comes to Minnesota, their strikeout rate overall on the season versus righties is about 20.1%. But over the course of June, it was up at 22%. So technically in recent results, they are worse, but their team ISO, their power, isolated power, is also increasing in June. So they are striking out just a little bit more, but they're also driving the ball more, which is great to see. And if they're going to be patient at the plate and then, high danger, I shouldn't call high danger, but like hard contact, that will get Cabrera out of the game early. So I expect him to get to 4, maybe 5, but the walks are going to be an issue for him tonight.
The hit parlay of the day,
Yeah.
J-Ram and Byron Buxton.
So,
actually 2 players that I feel like I always mixed up as younger, 10 years ago, just would think they're they just are such similar style players, but you like them both to combine for minus 104, 1 hit each. Why?
Yeah, so Buxton, he is going up against Cabrera. This was totally not intended to have if Buxton's getting hits and the Twins are doing great, then Cabrera's going to be out of the game. The hits were set first, but I just like Buxton overall in this spot. He's absolutely crushing righties. He's got a 147 WRC plus. He's got a 318 BABIP, which I of course like to see. And again, Cabrera is a good pitcher, specifically versus righties. 22% strikeout rate is much better versus lefties. The BABIP's at 314. The walk rate is fine. Hard contact is fine. Fly ball rate at 36% is rather interesting for Buxton, who we know likes to lead off, games with home runs. So he's one side of it. And again, these legs are normally, minus 250, 260, 270. I like to get two of them that bring me close to about even money. And then the other side of that would be J-Ram going up against Matthew Boyd. He does have good career success against Matthew Boyd, which is BVP, which again, I don't really buy into too much. But Matthew Boyd, more importantly, is struggling versus righties this season overall. He's got a 406 xFIP. Strikeout rate's only 22%, which is fine. J-Ram crushing things for righties. And it's nice hitting weather in Wrigley, which is not something that we can say about all the spots today. I had a ton of interest in Tigers hitters today, but the rain was going to be an issue. And lo and behold, that game got postponed. So tomorrow, when they face Trevor Williams, it might be a Tigers player on my card.
Earl wants to know what you think about Buxton with Diaz on the Rays each for a hit.
Yandy Diaz, there's no problem with that. He's going up against who is it for the Jeff Springs? Yeah, I think that's totally fine. Some of the Rays hitters, Diaz and I believe Caminero, who was on last night, they have some big home road splits. Which
they're hitting a ton of homers in Tampa.
Yeah, so and that's part of it. Like home road splits plays into it. Again, it's just like a portion of what we look, or at least what I look at when it comes to finding a hitter that I like home road splits are important. A player like Matt Chapman's hurt right now, but Yastrzemski, Lee, Adames, that is a terrible hitter's ballpark. So sometimes when they're on the road, that's where I prefer to target them just because we know it's a better hitter's park overall.
We're going to play my favorite segment because I love the stinger for it. We're going to do my favorite segment, and Tom's going to help us. So let's get to the most bet on props of the day with propaganda. It's 4th of July. It gets me every time. I love it. Okay, these are the most bet on props of the day. So we're going to find out from Tom which of these props he's going to fade the public on. Obviously, we're going to eliminate the Yankees ones because that game's on right now. CJ Abrams over 1.5 total bases. Brenton Rooker over a home run. Jose Altuve a home run at Coors. Which of these would you say is a no?
Well, Abrams is now
that game,
postponed.
That's postponed, right? Yeah.
So, I mean, Rooker I think is fine, but Altuve is 650 at Coors Field. I actually like that. I actually like that one. I think that's just like objective. He's down to 500 now. But if you can get a 650 out there or 600, I think that's objectively good at Coors Field. Anytime you get like a player like that, I
wonder why.
I mean, Cam Smith is 520. Paredes is even 420, which are, those are pretty good. The Astros are playing some really good ball right now, but I don't mind that. Like 600 plus for a proven hitter at Coors with I believe FanDuel's.
Does Altuve have good numbers at Coors Field?
I mean, I don't care about his career stats at Coors Field. It's just like sometimes you have to think about home runs, which can be tough for people. It's like, oh, I don't think he's going to hit home run. Like sometimes you have to think about are you getting a good number?
Actually is a 338 batting average, but he never has hit a home run at Coors Field in his career.
Right. So that's just circumstantial. Like the sample size probably.
15 games started, 69 plate appearances, hitting 338, but no homers.
Yeah, 525 for Altuve, I think is a very fair price. Like you have to look at it just are you getting a fair number for it? Like if Pete Alonso was there and they were hanging like a 6-1, you'd be like, that is insane. I don't care if he doesn't hit the home run. I'm just going to bet on a good number, and it comes down to a lot of these players. If Altuve was 3-1, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I would say yeah, that's probably what it should be because he's at Coors. But if you see a 6 or 6.5 to 1, whatever it might be, I like that.
That game is going to be a real doozy, and I'll get to it later on in the show because it's a line that's been very weird today. But you're getting Colton Gordon, who's pitching for the first time at Coors, and any time that you see someone pitch for the first time in their career at Coors, do you just stay away, Tom, or do you try to take advantage?
I mean, it depends on how you want to approach it. Like, if you want to say this pitcher who's never pitched at Coors, I'm just going to stay away because he's going to get blown up and give up 4 or 5 runs by the third inning. He's going to get pulled. Like, that's one way to do it. You could take unders on strikeouts, unders on, outs recorded, overs on earned runs, whatever it might be. But, it's Coors. Like, any pitcher can get blown up there. So, I don't want to say it doesn't come into my consideration, but if you just wanted to take every under on a pitcher going at Coors, I would have to assume at a certain point, you could probably come out net even at a certain point, at least net positive on pitcher under strikeouts.
Before I let you go, a lot's been going on in the NBA, free agency frenzy. What stood out to you the most?
Miles Turner leaving the Pacers, I didn't anticipate. I would there's a domino that if Halliburton doesn't get hurt, and even if they lose that game, Miles Turner stays. That's interesting. What the Lakers do at center is interesting. Giannis not being happy that the Bucks waived Dame.
What's going on with Giannis? He's not happy, but
my take on this, which I've said a lot of times on SportsGrid across different shows, is he wants to leave, but he doesn't want to put in a trade request, like the actual term, I want to be traded. What he did for the franchise, them drafting him when he was 18, him growing up there, bringing a championship to the city, he wants to be seen in a positive light. So I think he just wants to be you kind of want me to leave. I kind of want to leave. Let's just, it's mutual, rather than him being you have to trade me. I think it's that's what it is. It's it's not you, it's me. Why don't we just split up? Rather than him being I demand a trade, and Shams sends out that tweet that Giannis has officially requested a trade from the Bucks. That puts him in a negative light for the fans, which he really did so much for.
Right. You don't want it to be as if he's turning his back on them, but the odds are turning their back on the Bucks, as they're 75-1 currently to win the NBA Finals.
I would honestly, at this point, I don't know what their odds are to win the East, but that's probably the better bet to make.
You would still bet the Bucks in a buy, you're taking it as a buy low situation that Giannis at 21-1 on FanDuel, he would stay and they should win the East.
Who do you think is better than him in the East? That's the question. The Knicks are certainly better. The Cavs are. The Magic, that's an insane number for the Magic to win the East.
I think it's an insane number for the Magic too. The fact that they're plus 420 is insane.
If you have a Hawks ticket from prior to the draft and them getting Porzingis, that's great. Don't bet on the Hawks at 10-1. The 76ers, if they stay healthy, that's interesting. But the Bucks are just too deep of Giannis is the best player in the Eastern Conference.
But the Bucks really are thinking that he's leaving then, or they're because why would they be inviting all this action that people could have all these tickets at such a price?
I don't know. Pistons. I talked about the Pistons right when on Monday morning after the finals ended. The Pistons were at least interesting, right? If they can improve their seed, Boston slips back. They could have home court, whatever it might be. That's fine. I'd rather have tickets on these teams to win the East rather than win the NBA Finals.
We've already seen a lot of teams lose value. The Hawks, the Rockets being another one of those teams. Which team still has some value in your eyes?
For a finals or conference?
Anywhere. If someone was to say, I am crazy and I'm going to bet an NBA futures before any more shit hits the fan, what are you doing?
The Hawks at 31-1 to win the finals is okay. The Timberwolves at 17-1, I still think is a good spot. But after that, I know a lot of people are going to make the case for the Grizzlies at 95-1. Listen, they traded away Bane, but they had a good offseason in terms of the draft and free agency. They were a good team last year. And if the West is going to be a little bit weaker overall, they could grab a top 4 seed and whatever happens. If the way the season ended was insane. If they have at least some level of consistency, it's just a ticket to have going into the playoffs.
We do have NFL action coming up this month.
I could not be more excited. I cannot wait for September 1st just to be it's football season. Have you bet anything yet? No bets.
When do you typically start betting NFL futures?
I start researching it MLB All-Star Week just because there's more time. So I'll get into it then. I cannot wait for the NFL. I'm not a fan of the summer. I don't like the heat. Give me the fall. I cannot wait for September 1st to roll here, and then October 1st. Perfect weather and football.
I'm hearing so much about football already. It was on VSiN today. They were already promoting their NFL season guide for everybody. I know that people are going to start giving out some of those guides and magazines and packets. They're all going to start coming out in the next few weeks. I'm super hyped because I was bored as hell on Sunday. I was twiddling my thumbs because the Yankees played a day game. I was sitting there at 4:00. What the hell do I do now? Oh, Sean Michael wants to know NHL moves. What are your thoughts?
It was good for Marner to go to Vegas. That just had to be done. They couldn't run it back with the same cord. That's good. The Rangers got Gavrikov, which I think was a good move. I'm waiting to see the return on what they traded, what they got back for Keandre Miller. I think the Kings made some sneaky good moves, like ensuring their depth. So I actually jumped on the Kings at, what was it, 21-1 to win the cup. And that's really just a ticket to have to hopefully get some closing line value. The Devils made some depth moves. I think that's fine overall. They just need to stay healthy. And then actually also with the Canes, re-signing Logan Stankoven was a good $6 million a year is an insane price for them to keep him for 8 years.
Tom Vecchio, you know where to find him. He's all over SportsGrid, Tom_Vecchio1. He is number one in all of our hearts. He gives us everything we need to know. Tom Vecchio, thank you so much for joining the show as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
My turn. Nope. Bye, Tom. We're going to talk. Well, we already did some NBA trade deadline stuff, so I guess we could leave that out. Unless you guys want to talk more. I'll tell you like my thoughts a little bit. Obviously, the Miles Turner move. I hate Miles Turner with a passion. I just think he's inconsistent. He's unbettable and have absolutely zero interest. But, of course, they did have to find someone to replace Brook Lopez, who ends up going to the Clippers, which I actually do like the deal with the Clippers because Brook Lopez now, like, this Clippers team struggled when Ivica Zubac was on the bench. In fact, they were outscored the Clippers 5.5 points per 100 possessions, which ranked 22nd percentile league-wide in offensive rating. Lopez, much more credible of a shooter than Mo Bamba, 133 pointers each of the last 3 seasons. Lopez, occasional post-up threat, so that could be good against switches, something that the Clippers couldn't utilize, given Zubac posted up more often than any player besides Jokic last year. Lopez is definitely an upgrade on the defensive end. That gives the Clippers 48 minutes of quality rim protection, much better than Mo Bamba. So I do like the Brook Lopez move. Got to talk Hakeem for Lakers free agency tiers. They need a big. They need a big bad. I'm excited for this one too. Nickeil Alexander-Walker. I think that one was a good one going over to Atlanta. Atlanta's made some great moves. So shout out to the GM who's in his first year, Ansi Salah, for everything he's done getting Porzingis, Alexander Walker. Alexander Walker looked really good in the Western Conference Finals, putting up a combined 52 points. He's going to slide in. The Yankees, Jesus Christ. Did George Springer just hit a home run off? No, that's so bad. Great. Okay, anyway, Yankees are going to lose. Karis LeVert ends up going to the Pistons. So Alexander Walker, 4 years younger, that helps. And I think it's going to be a really good backcourt in Atlanta defensively, something that they struggled with because now you get better on defense with Porzingis. Dyson Daniels is a great defensive guard. And then, of course, you now are going to add over Alexander Walker. So I really do like Atlanta. And I also really do like the Houston Rockets. I liked the Houston Rockets 2 years ago when Mini Joker, Alperen Şengün, was there. And we were making a ton of money off Alperen Şengün. If you followed over at PointsBet at the time, Alperen Şengün was great. And now the Rockets get Kevin Durant. They get Dorian Finney-Smith. Finney-Smith is going to help Houston fill the void by when they traded their defensive stopper Dylan Brooks to Phoenix in the KD deal. So now having DFS, I call him DFS, guard forwards is better option than the quicker guards, and the Rockets can supplement DFS with and Thompson. So I think it's going to be really good for Houston. Defense wins championships. They've got depth. They've got a solid top 7, including Jabari Smith Jr. and Terry Eason. The Rockets also added, by adding a veteran like KD, it's just, as long as KD stays healthy, the Rockets are going to be great and a lot of fun to watch. So I'm super pumped about that. I am not pumped about the New York Yankees and how they just blew this game. They came back after being down 4-2, tied it at 4, and now Luke Weaver gives up the go-ahead home run. So it's 9-4 Toronto in the bottom of the 7th. The Yankees made one good comeback, and that was the end. So let's continue to talk about what we can make money off of, since we already did cash Max Fried under 5.5 Ks in this game. Go Yankees. Just kidding. Go Blue Jays. Batter trends. So I did this on Rhythm, and soon we're going to have a new partner here. I'll know more probably next week about it, but we're going to have a partner. And if you don't know about some of these apps, the app that we'll be partnering with next week, I think, fingers crossed that the deal gets done this week, they're really cool because it kind of uses these algorithms to figure out which props should hit and which props have trended to hit more. So, for example, Mauricio Dubon, his prop of under 1.5 total bases has hit 60% of the time, going under in 5 straight games. And in the last 10, Dubon's gone under in 8 of his last 10. Same thing for Estrada, under 1.5 total bases. The Colorado second baseman, he struggles at Coors, has gone under 1.5 total bases in 67% of his last 10 home games. He's hitting .244 against lefties this year, and Astros southpaw Colton Gordon is on the mound. So Estrada, under 1.5 total bases is a trend. Wilyer Abreu for the Red Sox, under 1.5 total bases also. He's hit 70% of his last 20 games to the under. In his last 20 home games, Abreu's gone under 65% of the time. He's hitting just .233 at home and .279 on the road. This one's my favorite. Miami's first baseman, Eric Wagman, over a half a hit, was -140, -145 today. He's a player you probably don't know about. They're playing the Twins. Wagman's heating up. He's had at least a hit in 90% of his last 10 games, 70% of his last 20. In his last 20 home games, Wagman's had at least 75% of games to have a hit. He's hitting .278 at home this season, .224 on the road. So those home road splits are important. So I would be looking at his over a half a hit. I just like that he's an underrated player on an underrated team. Jose Ramirez, I don't love this one as much, but it's trending under 1.5 total bases. He's gone under this 70% of his last 20 games. He's gone under in 6 of his last. There's a bug. I didn't get it, I don't think. Okay, anyway. He's gone under in 6 of his last 10 road games. At Wrigley, Ramirez has bad career numbers, hitting .171 in 39 plate appearances. He has 6 hits with only 1 extra base hit, being a home run at Wrigley. But the pitching matchup does benefit him a little bit. He does have a good matchup today. Who was pitching again? Was that Matt Boyd? I think it was Matt Boyd on the mound today for the Cubbies. Yeah, Matt Boyd's pitching, and he has decent career numbers against him, but it is something trending. I just like to mention the batter trends that are trending. Wilyer was hot yesterday. I know, but overall, just because you're hot one day in baseball doesn't mean you're hot. It just means you had a good day. We're talking last 10, last 20 games, last 10 home games, last 10 road games. These are the things that are important, is more like trending and matchup wise. So just telling you, based on the algorithm, those are some of the plays that are trending. But here are some good and bad matchups. Today, good matchup. And I updated this before any games were called, so apologies. Julio Rodriguez, 3 for 9 with a homer against Lorenzen. Nolan Arenado has good numbers against Paul Skeens with a double and a homer. Alec Burleson has good numbers against Skeens. Ozzie Albies, small sample size, but 3 homers and 6 at-bats against Tyler Anderson. More bad numbers. Obviously, we don't have the Mets game today, but Brian Reynolds hitting .118 with 2 homers and 3 Ks against Palente. Brandon Nimmo. Oh, no Mets. Willie Adames, 1 for 18 with 6 Ks against Zach Gallen. So those are more hitters props to look at. Some pitcher props to look at. Tom Vecchio and I were on the same. There's the gnat. Ooh, this is so annoying. Tom Vecchio and I were on the same page when it came to the Edward Cabrera under. So Cabrera's faced 5 low K rate teams. He went under 5.5 in 4 of those 5 starts. Cabrera punched out 5 batters in all those games. It still went under. And the Twins own one of the lowest strikeout rates in the league, 4.1 strikeouts per righty starter. Those starters, 43 unders and just 22 overs on their K props, with 7 of the last 10 going under 5.5 Ks when facing the Twins. Now, I'm not going to tell you to bet Paul Skeens under Ks, because I know that it's ridiculous with Skeens at home, and he's great. However, I would stay away from the over today, is the way I would play it. The Cards are averaging 4.3 Ks a game against righty starters, 28 unders, 24 overs. But the way that I play Skeens is I always just play the Pirates team total under. I hate the team total. The Pirates can't score when Skeens pitches. There have been 2 games this year that the Pirates have scored over 2 runs when Skeens is on the mound. Same thing goes for Mitch Keller. The Pirates just don't score when these 2 are pitching. So the best way to really play the Pirates in Skeens games, you are very profitable to team total unders on the Pirates if Paul Skeens is pitching. Made a lot of money doing it with Jacob deGrom and the Mets back in the day, and I'm doing it again with Skeens and the Pirates. So team total under on the Pirates for the indefinite future, anytime that Skeens or Mitch Keller are on the road. Can I fit the, oh, I didn't do fishy line. Hold on. I have to delete some graphics. Remember, you can only add in a certain number of graphics to the show at a time. We're going with fishy line and royal locks. We have to add in, and then I will save Marley. Let's get to fishy line. Fishy line of the day. Hate to break it to you. Do not bet the Houston Astros today. Colorado Rockies. The line has moved 15 cents in their favor about, despite 89% of bets and 97% of money coming in on the Houston Astros. The line's moving in favor of Colorado. First of all, this is the fade on Houston's lefty Colton Gordon, who's pitching for the first time at Coors Field. Second of all, Jeremy Pena is on the 10-day IL for the Astros with a small rib fracture. Third of all, the Astros, in case you, and I don't know if this will matter for game 1. It certainly might matter for games 2 and 3 of this series. You know who the Astros get next? The Los Angeles Dodgers in LA. It's going to have an impact in some capacity in this series. I think it's going to be, like, you got to look for something, because this is a total look-ahead spot. The Astros are going to know that the Dodgers are coming up next in LA, second to last series before the All-Star break. This is the Rockies. Who cares, right? Well, the Rockies might win this game with a rookie getting his first start at Coors. But also, aside for his 5-run outing against the Mets, the starter for the Rockies, Chase Dollander, found the net. He has a 3.73. This is so annoying, this net. He has a 3.73 ERA, Dollander, and 6 other starts over the last month and a half. So just something to keep in mind with Dollander. He hasn't been that bad for Colorado outside of his 1 start. Now let's get to the best bets of the day. We are going with our, it's only one, Royal Lock. What could go wrong? Royal Lock of the day. Me, Mid-Major Matt, and Tom Vecchio all agree on this play. We are going with Edward Cabrera under 5.5 Ks for the Miami Marlins. He's going up against the Minnesota Twins, who just have one of the lowest K rates in the league, averaging just over 4 strikeouts per righty starter. Those starters, 43 unders, 22 overs on their K props against Minnesota. 7 of the last 10 have gone under 5.5 Ks, and Edward Cabrera has gone under 5.5 Ks in 4 of 5 starts when facing a team with a low K rate against righties. So that is the Royal Lock best bet of the day. Edward Cabrera under 5.5 Ks. We all agree, so nothing can go wrong here. I have now been on air since 12 o'clock, so I am very glad to go save Marley. The Yankees are pissing me off. I have to go grab dinner. I hope you guys all have a profitable evening. Tomorrow, big show ahead. Pam Maldonado going to come on. We'll talk some Wimbledon, and then we will also talk with Coach James Young about the WNBA. We'll talk NBA free agency frenzy. So I am very excited for tomorrow's show to get 2 of my very good friends on. Thank you to Gill Gross from the Tennis Channel and Tom Vecchio for joining the show. In case you missed it, everything is always posted to the Prop Queen Sports YouTube page. So go follow, subscribe, like, thumbs up, everything on the YouTube page at Prop Queen Sports. And yes, Pam and Coach dual stream tomorrow. We are sponsored by Pickett Sports, so thank you to Pickett for always being a great sponsor here on the show. If you don't already have a Pickett subscription, it's not a subscription, sorry. If you don't already have Pickett, all you have to do is go download Pickett Sports. It is free by using promo code PropQueen, and then you can go follow me and see all the bets that I make, and we can communicate on there as well. It's also great on Pickett for tracking any kind of your bets if you sync your sports books, and they do it for you automatically. But also on Pickett, it tells you how all the lines move throughout the day. You could see what the best lines are everywhere. Pickett, I think you can just download it. It's just a matter of like your sports books, since California is not legal, your sports books won't sync, but you can still access Pickett anywhere. It's just an app. You just can't sync your sports books, obviously. But well, if you have like Underdog Prize Picks, I'm not sure how that works in California, but Pickett is a great tool, and you don't need, it's like not state by state. Well, you can use Pickett. And it's not just about tracking your bets. It's also about tracking everything that comes to how lines move, where the best number is in the market, It gives you hedge options as well. It tells you that it's a new option actually, that it could tell you the best way to hedge your bets if you join Pick'It. So you see it on the top corner, Pick'It, download the app, use promo code PropQueen. If I find out that you didn't use promo code PropQueen, I'm going to be pissed. That's it for me today. Tomorrow, 1 hour show, 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern time. We are going to have Pam Maldonado and Coach James Young talking about Chris Young is an MLB player, former player. I worked with him at MLB Network. James Young going to be joining the show, talking WNBA, NBA frenzy. Yankees are about to lose. I'm going to dinner, going to drink some wine on it's only Tuesday. Jesus Christ. Tuesday, 4th of July week. Have a great night. A profitable one. See you tomorrow, guys.